Hello everyone, I am Durga Saujanya, Assistant Professor from ECE Department, MLR Institute of Technology. So today I am going to give the video lecture for the subject Embedded System Design. Our today's session topic was Embedded System Design Process. So first we have to summarize the previous session and what is the design process, and next what are the approaches are there in design process and the steps involved in the design process, and we are going briefly about the steps which are involved in the design process. Those are requirements, specification, architectural design, hardware and specific software components, and integration. Let's go to the main topic. So here in the previous session we have discussed about the purpose of embedded systems. In that purpose of embedded systems we have explained the devices which are used for each and every purpose of the embedded system, and how many purposes are there for the embedded systems for using in so many applications. In today's session, we are going to discuss about the design process. So, what is a design process? Design process is nothing but it indicates the procedure for designing a system. So, what are the various steps involved in the development of embedded system design? So, here while designing any system, we need to consider the goals of the design. So, which are manufacturing cost, performance, speed and power consumption. So, we need to consider all these factors while designing any embedded system. So, the manufacturing cost will be very less and the performance will be very high and the speed will be very high and the power consumption will be very low. So, while remembering these points, we need to design any embedded system. So, next go to the main design process. So, there are two approaches in the design process. One is top-down approach, another one is bottom-down approach. So, in top-down approach, we are starting from the abstract description or from the requirements, and we are ending with the total design process. So, with the device. In the bottom-up design, so we are work with the entire module. We have taken the entire module as one small component and we are continuing with that small component. So, we are extending the features of the existing design in the bottom of design. So, in the bottom of design, whatever the existing system we have for that application, we have to add the another features and we have to extend the device. So, then we can go for the bottom of design. So, generally top down design is used for starting any system which is new system, and bottom up design is suitable for the systems which are already existing systems, but we have to add a new features or we want to extend that with the another applications. So, this is the embedded system design process. Here we have so many steps are there in the embedded system design process. The first step is requirements, the second step is specification, the third step is architecture, the fourth step is components, and the fifth step is system integration. So, here the top down design will be come from the requirements to the system integration. See, in the bottom up design, first we have to take the existing system which is integrated already, and next we can add some more components and we can change the architecture design based on the new system, and we can modify the specifications as per the new design, and we can write the requirements as per the new design. So, here the bottom up design will start from system integration and ends with the requirements, and the top down design will start with the requirements and ends with the system integration. So, here at each level of abstraction we need to analyze the design to determine the characteristics of the current state of the design, and we need to refine the design to add any detail. So, that means we need to check is it correct or we need to add any other details for the present stage, and we need to verify each step in the design process to get the accurate output. So, we need to remember these 3 points while designing any system at each stage. So, the first one is requirement stage. So, requirements is nothing but the informal descriptions gathered from the customer. So, whatever the descriptions gathered from the customer are known as requirements. So these requirements may be either functional or non-functional. Functional requirements are nothing but so whatever the output expected the customer. So whatever the input he want to give and whatever the output he want to expect from the customer. So that is called as functional description. And non-functional requirements are nothing but so those are not known by the customer. So those are known by the programmer or designer. So here non-functional requirements, we need to consider these factors while getting the information from the customer about the embedded system we need to give for particular application. So here the performance, cost, physical size, weight and power consumption. So these are called as non-functional requirements. So here the performance may be the combination of soft performance metrics and hard deadlines. So that means here soft performance metrics are nothing but we need to have some deadlines, and even though the deadlines are missed, the performance may not be affected for some applications. So if the customer wants those applications, we need to suitable for soft performance metrics. And we have so many applications are there, other applications which are having the hard deadlines. That means that particular application will be responded and reacted for that specific time only. It will not be missed the deadline. So for that applications, we have to use the hard deadlines. So the cost includes the manufacturing cost, non-recurring engineering cost and other cost. So manufacturing cost is nothing but for the components, whatever the cost exhibits for the components. Non-recurring engineering cost will be for what are the engineering material used for assembling the components and all other things. And other costs comes under the extra costs which are used for testing and other purposes. The physical size and weight. So we need to consider whatever the physical size the customer expected from the design and what should be the weight the customer expected from the design. The power consumption and battery life. Some customers needs the applications, they need the applications which are having low cost, but the performance will be either good or bad. So that means it will not be exhibited at that particular time, even though the time will be missed, but the cost will be very less. So in that cases, we need to consider only the cost consumption. And in some customers, in some devices applications, the customers wants only the battery life. So we need more battery life other than the performance and cost. So irrespective of the cost, we need more battery. So in that cases, we need to consider the battery life. So that here the requirements are nothing but the informal descriptions gathered by the customers. So we need to gather the information from the customer. So based on the information get from the customer, so we need to prepare some format. Based on that, we need to prepare the requirements format for the design of the embedded system. So this is the first step in the design process. The second step is specification. Specification is nothing but the technical representation for the customer information. So whatever the requirements we gathered from the customer, so we have refined those requirements into the specifications for design the system. So that means whatever the technical parameters required for designing the system. So we need to write the specifications clearly. So these are the specifications outside the contract between the customer and the architect. So architect doesn't know whether whatever the customer says. We need to prepare a full specification report. So based on the specifications only, the architects will design the system. So that the specification should be very essential to create any system with minimum of designer effort. So it must be specific, understandable and accurately reflect the customer's requirements. As per the customer's requirements, we need to mention the technical representations like, so how much battery will be used for how much work usage. So that means how much time it will be take for charging and how much time so the battery will be used for display and how much time it will be used for processing and all the functions. So the battery life, how much the battery life will be decided for the embedded system and how much power it will take. So what is the operating power supply voltage, how much power consumption will be there for designing the system. So we need to maintain the low power consumption. So based on the customer requirements, we need to mention all these things, whatever the operating voltage, whatever the battery life, and whatever the power consumption, and what are the operating conditions. So what is the temperature range we have to use it for that system, and other conditions like speed, performance, cost, and we need to consider all the things, and we need to mention all the things as a specification format. So the second step is the specification, which is the refined of the requirements. In the third step in the design process is architecture design. So architecture design means that architect will take the specifications from the unit and he can design the architecture. So architecture is nothing but the designer will draw the architecture or draw the block diagram of the design we want to design. So for that particular embedded system, whatever the design may be, so the block diagram may be prepared by the architecture. So which is called as architecture design. So the implementation of the system, it is described by the architecture in the form of block diagrams. So it is a plan for overall structure of the system. So it can be used to estimate the properties of the components which are used in the block diagram. So what are the components used for developing that design? So for development of the system, what are the components we need? And how can we connect from one component to the another component? So the list of the components and the framework of the components. So in the block diagram are represented by the architecture design. So it gives the accurate estimation. For estimation means, so the number of components used for designing and what are the components used for designing, and from the experience and from general design and particular experience, they can get the accurate estimation. So all the non-functional constraints are estimated. If the decisions are based on the bad data, those results will show up only during the final pages of the design. So if the architecture will estimate it wrongly, so it will affect the final design of the system. So that here in the architectural design, the estimation of the architecture will be very crucial. The next step is hardware and software components. So in the hardware and software components, in the third step in the architectural design, we have the block diagram. So from the block diagram, so we know what are the components are required for designing the embedded system. So now for each and every component, so what are the hardware material required for designing each and every block in the block diagram? So like if we have the controller board in the block diagram, so how can we select the controller? So what is the process used by the selection of the particular controller? And what are the associated components used for that controller? So here in the hardware and software components, so we need to select the entire hardware material used for designing the system. So the processor or the controller board, and which controller will be used for our design, and which sensors are used for our design, and which memory will be used for our design, and all the required hardware material which are used for design of the embedded system are developed in this phase. So here the architectural description tells what components we need, but that components will be in general includes both hardware and software modules. Hardware modules are nothing but the components which are existing physically. The software modules are nothing but the programming which is done for the existing components. So the some of the components will be ready-made. So like the controller, the sensors, memory, so they are readily available. But for that particular specific application, if the components are not readily available, so we need to prepare the circuit or we need to prepare the entire diagram. So we need to draw the schematic diagram and we need to prepare the PCB design and we need to make the PCB. So in that cases, we need to prepare externally the required module. So when creating the embedded software modules, so software module is nothing but, so we have to choose which type of programming language is to be suitable for that particular application. So there are so many languages are there, low level languages are there and high level languages are there. So for the controller board which is used in designing the embedded system, so which language is suitable for that controller? So we have to select that particular Low level language means C++, Java, Python, so etc. The high level language is nothing but assembly language. So here, based on the controller board we have used, we need to select which type of language we need to use in our programming and we need to implement in our programming. So we need to select that particular language and we need to program for the entire software module. So after programming, we need to test the entire program and we need to check whether it is working or correctly or not. If there are any bugs are there, we need to fix them and we need to test properly before applying to the module. So ensure that the system runs properly in real time and it does not take much more memory space than allowed. So we need to take consideration that the memory space available for the embedded system we need to design. So for the embedded system design, in the specifications we need to mention how much memory will be used for designing that system or for used for that system. So we need to maintain the system that to be run properly in the real time, so that does not take the memory space which is given in the specification. So more than the memory space which is given in the specification. So the power consumption is particularly important. So we need to select all the components, so like that, which are having the very low power consumption. So we need to choose the components which are having low power consumption. So very careful about read and write memory to minimize the power. So in which purposes we have to use the read only memory and for which processes we have to use the random access memory. So we need to consider these things and we need to take the memory units carefully for ROM and RAM to minimize the power requirement. The memory transactions must be carefully planned to avoid reading the same data several times, since memory accesses are major source of the power consumption. So if we are reading the same data several times, more memory will be consumed and more power will be consumed. So that in the programming part, we need to take more care that only one data will be accessed only at a time. So at a time we need to read only one data. So the same data will not be read several times. So we need to take proper care for programming and for hardware parts also. So this is about the hardware and software components. So now in the first step we have the requirements, and in the second step we have to design the specifications, and in the third step we have to draw the block diagram based on the specifications, and in the fourth step, so based on the architecture, we need to select the components and we need to program that. And now going to the fifth phase, which is the last phase in the embedded system design process. Which is the system integration. System integration means after getting total hardware block diagram and hardware blocks and software modules. So now we have the hardware modules and software modules. So now we want to integrate both to get the total embedded system, entire embedded system for the specific application. So now after all the components are built, we need to integrate them. So typically found during the system integration, the bugs were founded in the system integration. So we need to have good planning to avoid those bugs very quickly. And system integration is difficult because it uncovers problems. So while integration, some hardware components may be damaged and some programs may not be worked for the hardware components. So we need properly testing and we need to take care for integration. So the debugging facilities for embedded systems are usually much more limited than the desktop systems. So here we need to use the debug tools for checking the hardware components and software components more precisely. So debug tools are available in the online and we have so many debug tools are there. So the debug tools are used for testing the entire design in software with the program which is designed for that embedded system. So after debugging purpose only, we need to import that software into the hardware for integration. So then only it works perfectly. If there are any bugs are there, so we can fix it and we can again retest it, we can debug again, and after confirmation of getting exact response or exact output, then only we can import into the hardware modules. Careful attention is needed to insert appropriate debugging facilities during design, so which then ease the system integration problems. So here this is the embedded system design process. So conclusion. So first we have summarized the previous session. So that means in the previous session whatever the topics we have discussed, we have summarized that, and next we are going to the today's session, which is embedded system design process. The first step in the design process is requirement step. In this, the information is collected from the customer and it is refined, and specification. This refined information is to be described. Then the functions of the system which accurately reflects the customer's requirements, and it serves as the contract between the customer and the designer. It is the second step. And what about the third step? We need to design the architecture. The functions described by the specification are implemented by the architecture design. And in the fourth step, this architecture design, which consists of so many blocks. For each block, what are the components? We need to design those blocks, which includes both hardware and software components. So what are the hardware components used to design the blocks, and what are the software languages and programming tools used for developing that system? So we need to discuss, we are discussing those techniques in the fourth step. In the fifth step, after all the components are built, so they may be integrated to get the final system. So in the final system, after integration of both hardware components and software modules, we are getting the finalized embedded system which is designed for a specific application. So these are the present